You're listening to Puma Podcast.
When one of the employees in the central office turned on the system, there was already flash on the screen a notice that the system had been hacked by Medusa, and there was already a demand for ransom. So this was immediately reported to the senior manager, the supervisor, and the instruction was to immediately turn off all systems, and that is our containment response.
In the past few months, major government agencies had, one by one, fallen prey to hacks. The threat has always been around, but hackers have never been this aggressive before. I'm Franco Luna, Puma Podcast, and you're listening to Teka Teka News. In this episode, we ask, why is it so easy for hackers to get their hands on our data?
There are other ransomwares. May mga lockbit na naging biktima rin yung ibang government agencies. And these are also professional groups like Medusa. But when we're talking about the recent spate of hackings after PhilHealth, we believe them to be local hackers, and we believe them not to be a coincidence.
You just heard the ICT Undersecretary Jeffrey E.N.D. He was speaking at the Senate hearing on the hack on the Philippine Health Insurance Corporation, or PhilHealth. In the past few months, there have been a number of cyber attacks on government websites in the Philippines. These attacks have ranged from defacement to data breaches, and their reach has been unsettling. The Department of National Defense, the Philippine Coast Guard, the Department of Foreign Affairs, the Department of Health. The first two concern our collective national safety. The last two involve our passports and our medical records.
We actually also detected, because we also have, despite the limited resources that we have, we also have web intelligence systems that actually looks into the dark web. We did contact also PhilHealth when we monitored. Medusa posted na meron na silang ransom demand. So you're right, Your Honor. Of course, we don't have yet, and I have to admit, we don't have yet the sophistication of having a singular capital command or singular, kasi sa US may singular number, no?
That's right, these were local actors right here at home, not some sophisticated operation from overseas. This means the authorities can more easily go after them. We already don't have the best track record when it comes to cyber attacks on government. According to a report by Kaspersky, the Philippines is supposedly the fourth in the world in terms of number of incidents. Kaspersky is the Russian multinational cybersecurity and antivirus provider. We've always known that hackers are all around us, but for them to penetrate government systems, especially as quickly as they just did, is disturbing, because that affects all of us.
Although membership data have been compromised, some of them, I think it's very important for the public to know that production servers are actually intact. Now, the reason why some of the membership data was compromised was because it was the individual workstations that were affected, but definitely not the production servers. Intact po yun, no?
That's PhilHealth President and CEO Emmanuel Ledesma Jr. These attacks are a reminder that the Philippines is a target for cybercriminals. They also highlight the need for improved cybersecurity measures across the government and private sectors.
I understand that it is very unfortunate that we have these attacks recently. But if I may have the 2022 data as an example, after the 25,000 threats that we monitored, so approximately 5,700 came true, and not all of these are associated with data. To be honest, ang pinakamarami po talagang klase ng attacks sa Pilipinas as a government agency, and mostly web defacement.
We're pausing for a quick break now. When we return, we'll tell you about what you can do to keep yourself safe amid the spate of hacks on government websites.
Well, you can imagine how, if they can make an effort to hack a government website, which is supposed to be somewhat secure. Imagine how easy it would be to really just attack someone. Because when attacking a consumer, no, it's in a different, I would say, strategy. They use all sorts of things, phishing, malware, ransomware, no. And really for consumers like all of us, no, the first thing they're going to look for is information. Because if they're able to get our information, they can open doors to a lot of things.
Yan naman si Orly Oxales, lead convener ng Citizen Watch Philippines. He once worked as the chief information officer of a government agency. There are a number of challenges that the Philippines faces in terms of cybersecurity. One challenge is that the country has a relatively low level of cybersecurity awareness.
What we're using now is actually obsolete because there's new technology being developed as we speak. And that's going to come very soon. And then what happens then is we come up with a law that takes about a year to perfect, for example, to pass. No? But then after years, there's a new technology that disrupts everything. So there has to be a digital mindset that needs to be compatible or dynamic enough to be able to anticipate these changes.
Another challenge is that the Philippines, and that's all of us, not just our government agencies, lacks a comprehensive cybersecurity strategy.
For me, it's always top-down approach. So that the people on top should understand what cybersecurity is all about in the first place. Because in reality, let's say you're a security specialist, and then you have amazing ideas, right? Oh, we should do this, this, that. But if the top people don't understand and you don't communicate that language, then they won't give you budget. They won't invest in it.
That's cybersecurity consultant Jonar Marzan in an earlier story on Teka Teka News. He works for a firm based in Singapore, and he says the first step forward is to change the way we all think about cybersecurity.
It involves people, process, and technology. In cybersecurity, it's actually separate from IT. So cybersecurity, you have the governance, risk, and compliance. You have security architecture, securing apps. You have security operations, the ones who's responsible for responding. You have data protection. There's even a data privacy, which is outside or inside. So that's debatable. What I'm trying to say is that cybersecurity is big. So organizations and individuals need to be aware of that.
Funding is also a problem. As it stands, the cybersecurity budget of the DICT just keeps getting smaller and smaller. It was at 1 billion pesos last year and was cut to 600 million pesos this year. And for 24, the allocation is at only 300 million pesos. It's also worth pointing out that the Philippines has a shortage of cybersecurity professionals as it is. Citizen Watch has a solution in mind, but it's one that requires buy-in and urgency on the part of government.
It's actually the whole society that will benefit if we're able to have everybody on board and being able to efficiently and safely use these digital technologies in the cloud. My simple explanation of the cloud is that before, all of our computers need to be wired, correct? Now it's wireless. Before, all our computers need to be in hard disks or in servers or in big buildings. But now, with an affordable subscription, you have access to all of these cloud services that can give you all sorts of magical services.
The Department of Information and Communications Technology actually does mandate that all government agencies prioritize cloud computing solutions for their IT needs with its cloud-first policy. It makes sense. By moving data to secure cloud environments, agencies can leverage the security features offered by reputable cloud service providers. This can enhance data protection, disaster recovery, and scalability while reducing the risk of attacks. But Orly says implementation has been slow, especially since some agencies prioritize that kind of digitalization more than others.
Because you have to understand how government is, well, naturally structured. Government is very siloed. No, there's a lot of turfing. If this is my agency, no, I don't want another agency pestering me or telling me what to do, which is very typical of many government.
Think about how much data you have on your devices and how much you stand to lose from just one hack. That's bank details, contacts, personal information, among other things. And Orly makes a good point. It's easier to invest in protection than to chase after hackers once the damage is done.
After the fact, it's going to be very difficult. First of all, we don't know where they are, right? If cyber criminals are protected because they're anonymous, we don't know who they are, we don't know where they are, how they operate, and they're very good at cloaking themselves and shielding themselves so that they can evade arrest. Once in a while, I do hear of some arrests, which is good. But really, what do you do if the actors or the bad actors or these cyber criminals are based abroad? What do you do if they are actually state-sponsored?
That's why this issue goes beyond just government websites. Because if the state is vulnerable, then so are we. Orly says it's a wake-up call that should push all of us to safeguard our data, whether online or stored locally. Here he is again.
The cyber attacks on our government agencies isn't really new. We've been seeing this for so many years now. And it really just shows how big the gap is in terms of our readiness, in terms of cybersecurity. For all organizations, both government and private, it takes effort to be able to instill this culture of safety online. But the lesson we've learned is we still haven't really learned how to use our digital technologies properly. We have our toys with us, where we have access, but we still don't have the discipline and awareness and the culture of safety, of not trusting, of being very careful when you go online, of thinking before clicking.
And that was today's episode of Teka Teka News. Again, I'm Franco Luna. This episode was edited by Freddy Blanco. Our Teka Teka News executive producer is Jill Caro, and our senior editor is Veronica Uye. If you found this episode useful, share it with a friend. Help Teka Teka News reach more people, and keep the show going. Thanks for listening.